This is a Grande Pacific production. Okay, today we're back at a request from many people, and a discussion is taking place currently on the NCE chat room about addresses on cabs. Keeping track of cab addresses, if you have a club or a large layout, is an issue. This is my cab address roster for my layout. Now, I don't own all these cabs, but the beauty part about the NCE system is everybody else's cab can work on your railroad. So what we do down here is everybody owns their own cab and they bring it. Well, I have a regular group of operators and people who own cabs, and you can see the ones that say layout and the ones that say personal, and then there's even one on here you see right there that belongs to a club. Somebody will grab the club layout and bring it along. Also, if you pan all the way down here, you get into some of the other thing cab addresses are used for. In this case, there's too many panels. I didn't print it out, but if you went down into the 50s on this setup, there's 6, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, and 56 on this layout are used for AIU-01s for block detection. This layout's all detected on blocks. So those also have to have a cab address. Now, this is just an example. This is done on an Excel spreadsheet. It gets into the radio use and what kind of radio, and like I said on the chat room, 2 through 17 Pro Cab R, and we're primarily, let me say this, what I'm going to show you about changing the actual cab address on the actual physical throttle applies to all systems. Radio usage in the use of cab numbers is different for power cabs. And I'm just going to say briefly, and I'll leave it to David Heap on the chat room to be the power cab expert here, but if you have a 165 chip, you can use 2, 3, 4, and 5, I think is with the new numbers you can use. You can't use 2 through 63. A couple of things I don't do on my railroad. I never use the number 3, and I never use the number 1. 1 has to do with a lot of things in computers, and don't play that game. And 3 has to do with everything to do with locomotives. So just don't use them. You see, do not use on that number. Try to stop things that people push buttons and you end up in wrong areas and big problems start occurring. So there's plenty of addresses to use. So anyway, this is the setup. So in this layout, 2 through 17 are reserved for Pro Cab R. This is a Pro Cab R. The number 4 don't come on it. That's just which. I don't know. In fact, in this particular one, I don't know why the number 4 is on it, but it's stuck on there to identify the cab. This cab's currently set for number 8, but we'll get into that demonstration later. I just take the tape, the chart pack tape, machine, print out the thing, and this is of course one of my cabs here, and I put my name and the railroad in the cab, because I take my cabs to other people's railroads. And quick way to set them down, and they all look alike. Believe me, there's no identifying marks, so you need to identify them if you take your cab around. That's the first rule I get into. So stick something on the back, identify it. This is set up for cab 8. That's why we need to work on the other one. So here we have a Pro Cab R with the radio in it. The little LED at the top tells you there's a radio in it. All Pro Cab Rs come with the panel in the back to put the batteries in. So that's not an indicator there's a radio in the throttle. The only thing that's going to indicate there's a radio and a late model throttle is the little light up on top. That's true of the older versions that had the radio sticking out of them. We'll get into that too while we're here. Now, this is a Pro Cab. This is a power. This is a Cab 06R. Okay, and again, the flashing light for the radio. So, good thing here. We're going to push the horn button here. That turns this cab on, and you'll see that cab address comes up as 19. Then it goes to the last, whatever it was doing. I guess that's a locomotive number. I'm not too sure. I don't have any locos there. But notice how fast that light is flashing. It's got a beat stop in it, but it's not doing anything right now. You need to see that light flashing that fast to say it's communicating with the RB01. So that's a good indicator. Now, on a Cab 06 to turn it off, you hit 2 buttons and it'll go off. Bing. Shift, escape, and the horn button, and it goes off. Okay? Now we'll get into the cab address thing here in a minute. Now, just for reference points, that's my antenna. That's the RB02, right up there. In reference to where it is in the layout, it sits on one side of the room. On this side of the room, I also have a repeater. That goes to, that cable you see up there goes to across the way, and it comes over here to the RB01. Instructions on this, on how to wire this up is RB02. I'm sorry. It goes to the RB02. It's version 2.0 or 2.1, but that's, you need to have that for all this to work right, people. That was a big issue a couple of years back. So if you don't have one that has a sticker on the back that says version 2.0 or better, you're going to have issues. So you're going to need to take care of that. So that's the antenna hook up here in this particular room. Now, these are 10-foot ceilings, and I find it works best with the 2 antennas. I've tried it with one, works okay. But I got some older radios that don't really transpond real well, and I'll show you those. And so 2 radios, the old ones work better. Okay, now I've gone and gotten a throttle for you. This was an original radio throttle that had the antenna sticking out. See the big hole where the antenna was. Right inside there, you can see the board which the antenna was mounted to, and the black card that's mounted to the board now is what's called a swatch. That's the antenna. I did these myself. There's a complete set of instructions on how to do this. It's on the internet. There's a link to it step by step. I'll only say that they talk about peeling the copper off the board with an X-Acto knife or scraping it loose, and I'm going to say, get your Dremel tool out, people. You can grind it off a lot quicker, but you do have to grind off the board to do the thing. But I've done 4 or 5 of them. They all work real well, and it sure beats trying to fix them broken off antennas. So that's an example of what an old one looks like that has been remodeled. Now, what is a swatch? I'm going to hold this up here, right like this, and you can hit the pause button. That is the parts order number from DigiKey for the antenna, internal antenna for the swatch. I'll open this up, and there is the internal antenna. You have to see those little notches. Get the rubber band out the way here. You see the little notches. You have to get those, a little piece of wire soldered into the board enough to stick up, and then you have to solder the wire to that notch. for those people who are not brave enough to get into this, you may want to find a friend that's pretty good with electronics. This one is not that difficult except for the one connection on the end, which is the positive connection for the whole system. Actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those are grounds and one's a positive. But if you follow the instructions that are on the internet about doing this, they show it. The one that's got to go on, this thing's actually upside down. You see the 1 over the number. That's the one that's got to go on the far left. The other ones are all grounds. But anyway, and they give some instructions about the LED. I did not extend my LEDs. I just kind of bent them out the way so where you can look in the hole and see it. The one you saw there, actually, that controller had to go back to NCE for some other repairs, and my friend Larry fixed that one when it went back. But that's the swatch. That is a ground plane antenna, and that's what's being used inside the all the controllers that don't have the radio. One other part that gives constant problems, or I won't say that gives problems, is when you turn the wheel on a controller right here, there's a thing called an encoder. Most everything used to have a rheostat in it. They don't use rheostats anymore. It's called an encoder. Okay, when you turn the wheel right there with your little thumb, you see the wheel go around. The wheel's connected to this. That is the encoder. Now, the problem with that encoder is right there. You see the 3 little prongs sticking up? Well, they stick into the board. There's the current one that's in there is soldered in. It's very hard to get 3 wires heated up at the same time and get them all pulled out. And then you got to have it clean. This is where I don't recommend people getting involved in this. I don't do this one because I have a friend who's in the electronics business, and he repairs stuff like this, and he's got the right equipment to suck the solder off the holes so you can remove the old one without damaging the board. That's the big key here. But that is the little part. I don't have the label stuck on this one. So, wait a minute. Yes, we do. I will hold the label up. And I will hold the label up. Magic of a video camera. Stop, get the label up. And this is your digit key number for that part. I ordered 10 of them. I keep up with a number of controllers. I'm the Southeast Louisiana guy that fixes everything, so I keep parts that for stuff that we repair. But this is the digit key for the encoder that's used in the NCE controller. So the only thing I got to tell you, get somebody who's got the right equipment to get that off the board. It's not a difficult task. It's one where if you don't do it correctly, you could screw the board up and then you're screwed. So then it becomes an expensive repair job because then you got to get Larry at NCE to get your new board. So there it is. Okay, so now we're going to get down to why we started this whole thing. And that's changing the address on a controller. Now here's a typical NCE controller. Let's make sure I'm panned out here. Let's pan out all the way. Now, right next to me right here on the fascia board is a UPT panel. Addresses are changed whether it's radio or regular controller. And in the case I'll say is radio's off. So what you do is you take your plexi cord that comes with the radio, or if you just have one that doesn't have a radio, you plug it into the UPT panel, the system is on, and you hold down the select loco key. You got to hold this down, then plug it in. Now you will see up here at the top it says cab address, and it doesn't change, it's flashing and it's saying this is cab 08. So I'm going to come back over here to my address sheet, and I'm going to say, okay, since this is going to be a new address on one of my things, where can I fit it in? Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to take number 17 right there and make this another layout controller. So then you go to 1, I got to look, because 7, see, 1, 7, and then you hit enter. Then it goes to 1 yard to normal. I had this question come up a couple of weeks ago, so I'll answer this one. The yard, if I push 1, when you turn the wheel, if you go this way, the engine will go forward. You'll hit a center point going back, and at that point when you hit the 0 and you roll it back the other way, the engine will go reverse. Not a big proponent of using that for various and sundry reasons. Won't get into the pros and cons, but I just explained to you what the yard mode is. So we're going to hit 2. And then it gets to ballistic track rate. At this point, you're finished. You do not need to do anything else. I'm not going to get into the rest of these things that come up. Read the book if you really want to go here. Just leave it at 3. And you go down here to the bottom, and there's that famous button again on the NCE controller that everybody needs to know where it is, and if you hit it, boom, there's your cup. Look at that, it went back to the where we're at. Well, whatever, in this case, whoever had what it's showing you in the command station, whoever used cab 17 last, that's the locomotive they had called up. So I'll just go select loco 0, enter. Let's see, I'm going to hit the recall button. Oh, we have a number of loco 0, enter. Recall again, in case it was set to 6 and it's not. All my recalls I keep at 2. I see absolutely no way. I have a hard time running 2 locomotives around here for a open house. The reason they're set for 2 is so if I'm running a manifest freight and I want to use a local switch engine, I can switch back and forth. Okay, so there you go. That's how you change that cab address. So if I plug this in just normally, I'm not going to show you the part down here, me sticking it in, but because it's going to change. You will see if I just plug it in and I am not holding down the select loco key, this is what you see. You see 17 come up, and then it goes back to the standard window. Now I can hit select loco and select the loco. Now if you unplug it and you push, remember this is the way you can't change an address. Hold down the select loco key, then plug it in, and now you see 17 flashing, the flashing cursor, and cab address stays there. It will stay there in this position as long as I don't do anything. So it's just that simple. Now let's unplug it, it's dead, and we'll hit the red button, which turns the radio on. When I hit the red button, it turns the radio on. If you have older throttles and you're having trouble turning the radio on, hit enter and emergency stop at the same time. That was true, I hate to admit how long ago that goes back, but to the beginning. But if you're having trouble getting your radio to come on and you know the batteries are all fresh, hit enter and emergency stop same time. Normally you should just be able to push the emergency stop button once, radio comes on, and it's waiting to make its contact, and now it's all hooked up and ready to go. And you quickly saw cab 17 flash across the screen. You cannot change cab addresses in radio mode. Okay? Don't even attempt it. Doesn't work. Okay? Now, so the other thing is that you want to get into, Well, let's not, but let's get into the cab 06. Now here we have a cab 06. Oops, along with a couple things, and it's the same thing. You have to do it with the UPT panel plugged into the cab bus. So I'm going to hold down the select loco, and it comes up cabs 19. And you see at the end down there the little red flashing light. That's the same thing to me telling it that on the other cab, this is a cab 06, on a power cab R, Pro Cab R, that would have been flashing 19. The first number would have been flashing. But this is telling me that it's doing the same thing. So if I want to change this to 20, enter, and then I go down here and I hit, well, normal, yes, enter. Okay, now 20's come up. That's the last locomotive used on 20. So let's plug it back in. And now you see, I unplugged it, then I plugged it back in, and it came up 20. I did not hold, it came up cab 20 and immediately goes to the loco. Okay, that it was selected. So in this case, I didn't have the select button thing, so it doesn't stay there. You have to hold the select loco. I'm holding the select loco button down, and I'm plugging in at the same time. Now the little red light is flashing, so we'll go back, since this is my cab 19, 19, enter. And it says normal. We're going to hit normal. And you see the ballast rate come up 3. We're not going to change anything else, so we're going to go up here and see it says shift escape. Okay, so then remember on 19 we had the number 690 coming up as an engine, so that's where we are. I'm going to go select loco, 0, enter, and that should take care of it. Now recall on a cab 06 is shift direction. There is no other loco in there. Shift direction, shift direction. So there's no other locos on a recall. So that's how you change the address. You got to hold the select loco key, and it's got to be done here. So we'll unplug that. On a cab 06 to turn it on, you just hit the horn button, and there you see it came up cab 19, and then it went to the loco number, and we had cleared out the other one, and now it's coming up 0, which is where we want them to come up. Strongly recommend that you select loco 0 whenever you finish with a cab. That way you don't have plug in, turn knob, and have some loco take off down the track. So that's just that simple for a cab 06. And if Larry, if you watched the video, that part isn't working. That was the instructions, but body grease has basically eliminated that. So keep the manual. Okay, so have shown you how to change addresses, how to keep track of addresses, and some of the pitfalls you run into with the NCE controllers that you may need to repair as you go along. I'm just going to say this about the encoder at the end here. You notice how when I turn this knob, the numbers go up 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you start rolling that knob forward and it's going up, and then it goes 3, 4, and it goes 2, 6, 7, 5, and it goes back and starts, you're turning the knob pretty consistently, and the numbers start jumping all over the place, that is a real good indication you got a problem with an encoder. That's the telltale sign that there's an issue with the encoder inside the unit. And the encoder sits right there, right behind where it says things. So if you take this screws out, you'll see it. It's right over there. It's right there. See it? Not going to take this apart, sorry. We're not going into the repair issues and repair training today. But anyway, nice equipment. Believe me, I have my original throttles, and I have the one that says System 1 on it, and it still works. There is a few issues with that throttle because some of the things you need are not there, but it still works. You can still run a train with it, and it's now going into its 17th or 18th year. So there it is. Thank you. Bye-bye.